Hello, Hoops fans. Welcome back to Tips and Streams, your go-to spot for all things NBA betting. As always, it's your host, Kokon here, and I'm super excited to bring you today's jam-packed episode. Stay tuned, and let's get into today's NBA betting predictions on Tips and Streams. The first today's prediction is for matchup between Minnesota Timberwolves and Detroit Pistons. Get ready for a hoop showdown. The Minnesota Timberwolves are squaring off against the Detroit Pistons in what's shaping up to be a heated battle on the court. The Timberwolves are soaring high this season, boasting an impressive 28-11 record. They've been lighting up the scoreboard, averaging a whopping 110 points per game, and their three-point game is on fire, hitting 38.30% from downtown. What's really setting them apart is their smooth moves and sharp shooting, sinking shots with a solid 48.81% field goal accuracy. On defense, they're dominating the boards, grabbing 44.10 rebounds per game, showing their muscle and dominance under the rim. The Pistons, however, are in a bit of a slump. With a disappointing 4-36 record, they're trailing behind in key areas, scoring an average of 111.31 points per game, with a 46.92% field goal rate and 34.45% in three-pointers. Their rebound game is almost at par, snatching 43.21 rebounds per game, but they're missing the mark when it comes to executing plays. Looking at recent performances, the Timberwolves are on a roll with a 5-1 record against the spread in their last 6 games and a strong track record against the Pistons, winning 5 of their last 7 faceoffs. The Pistons are struggling, especially at home, losing 17 of their last 18 games. Injury-wise, the Timberwolves are looking good, with only Jalen Clark as a maybe. The Pistons are dealing with more uncertainty, with players like Danilo Gallinari, Mike Muscala, and Bojan Bogdanovic in question, not to mention the absence of Monte Morris and Cade Cunningham. This could give Minnesota a significant edge. Historically, when these teams meet in Detroit, the scoreboard lights up. 9 out of the last 10 games have gone over the total points line when the Timberwolves are visiting. This trend, along with the Pistons' home struggles, hints at an edge for Minnesota. The odds are in favor of Minnesota by a solid 12.5 points, with an over-under total of 221.5 points. Given the Timberwolves' track record and the Pistons' home challenges, it looks like Minnesota will not only win, but also cover the spread. The game's total points are likely to go over, considering both teams' scoring abilities and previous trends. To sum it up, betting on the Minnesota Timberwolves to win and cover the 10.5-point spread seems like a wise move, and with a high-scoring game on the horizon, taking the over on the 222.5 points total is a bet worth considering. The next today's prediction is for the game between Orlando Magic and Atlanta Hawks. The Orlando Magic, snagging the 8th spot in the Eastern Conference with a scoreboard of 22-18, are showing some slick team dynamics. They're dropping an average of 112.2 points per game, which ranks them 24th in the league's scoring chart. On defense, they're packing more punch, sitting pretty at 5th with only 111.2 points allowed per game. Their game on the glass, grabbing 43.9 boards per game and dishing out 24.8 assists per game, are solid, putting them in the league's mid-ranks. Flipping to the Atlanta Hawks, sitting at 16-23, they're no easy play. Offensively, they're on fire, racking up 121 points and 66 points per game, blowing past the Magic. They're also sharpshooters from downtown, netting 36.62% from the arc, over the Magic's 34.36%. They're narrowly out-rebounding the Magic, too, with 44.68 rebounds per game. Lately, the Magic have been a mixed bag, but still hold a tight game against the spread, particularly when facing the Hawks. The Hawks, on the flip side, are stumbling a bit in matching spread expectations, hinting at possible consistency hiccups or injury woes. In direct matchups, the Magic have had limited success on the Hawks' turf, clinching a win in just one of their last 5 road games. But they've beaten the spread in 2 of these face-offs, suggesting tight contests. Injury updates are crucial here, with key players on both sides marked as questionable. Gary Harris of the Magic and Wesley Matthews of the Hawks are the ones to watch. Weighing all this, the Hawks, with their home court and offensive edge, look poised to snag the win. But don't count out the Magic's tenacious defense and ability to defy the odds. Considering the Hawks' recent hiccups and the Magic's steady spread play, I'm placing my chips on the Orlando Magic to beat the spread with a bonus 4-point cushion. The next today's prediction is for the game between San Antonio Spurs and Boston Celtics. Tonight's courtside clash is a true East meets West saga as the San Antonio Spurs bounce into Beantown to face off against the Celtics. Breaking down the stats, both squads pack a mix of firepower and hurdles on the court. The Celtics are dominating the court this season, boasting an impressive 31-9 record. They're lighting up the scoreboard with 121.44 points per game and nailing almost half their shots at a 48% field goal clip. Their game beyond the arc is just as fiery, sinking trays at a 37.85% rate. Dominating the glass with an average of 47.21 boards per game, the Celtics are a force at both ends. On the flip side, the Spurs, sitting at 732, are scrambling to get their game on track. Their 112.58 points per game and a field goal percentage of 45.78% show they've got some ground to cover. Their long-range game is a bit off, too, with a three-point hit rate of 34.82%. Rebounds aren't coming easy either, averaging 43.13 per outing. When it comes to duels in Boston, the Spurs have a slight edge, taking 3 out of their last 5 faceoffs. But the Celtics' insane 19-0 home record this season is a game-changer. Contrast that with the Spurs' 2-15 record in recent road games, though they've impressively covered the spread in 9 of their last 11 in Boston. Injuries could play a big role. The Spurs might miss Sidi Sissoko and definitely without Zach Collins, while the Celtics list Drew Holiday, Kristaps Porzingis, Derek White, and Jaylen Brown as game-time decisions. This shakes up the strategy and depth for both teams. The Spurs have been covering the spread like champs, going 6-1 in their last 7 games, proving they hang tough in close battles. The Celtics have been piling up points, hitting the over in 10 of their last 15. Yet, when facing the Spurs, the score tends to tighten, with the total going under in 4 of their last 5 matchups. Betting lines lean heavily towards the Celtics, with a 16.5-point spread, and the total points pegged at 238. But considering the Spurs' struggles on offense on the road, and the Celtics' tight defense at home, it's likely the total stays below 238. To wrap it up, the Celtics' stellar home record and statistical edge in shooting, three-pointers, and rebounding tip the scales in their favor. The Spurs' spread-covering trend and their knack for pulling surprises in Boston add some intrigue, but given the Celtics' form and home court advantage, they're the team to bet on. Expect a defense-heavy showdown, with total points likely falling short of the 238. My wager, the total points for the Spurs and Celtics will be under 238. The next today's prediction is for the game between Milwaukee Bucks and Cleveland Cavaliers. Tonight's clash on the hardwood between the Milwaukee Bucks and the Cleveland Cavaliers is gearing up to be a real barn burner. Rolling in with a formidable 28-12 record, the Bucks have been tearing it up, dropping a hefty 124.95 points per game. They're shooting lights out, boasting a field goal rate of 50.15% and drilling 38.32% from downtown. They're also cleaning up the glass, snagging 44.45 boards per game, just edging past the Cavs in this department. Their slick passing game, dishing out 26.83 assists per matchup, is a testament to their smooth team chemistry. The Cavs are stepping up with a solid 23-15 win-loss card. They're putting up 113.19 points each night, impressive but still trailing the Bucks' scoring frenzy. They're hitting 47.44% from the field and netting 35.25% of their threes, while they're a tad better in the rebound game with 81 per game. They're pretty much neck and neck with the Bucks when it comes to assists, averaging 26.38. When these two teams lock horns, the drama intensifies. In their past 10 face-offs, the Bucks have clinched 5 wins, but only outperformed the spread in 4. On Cavalier turf, the Bucks have only triumphed and beat the spread twice in their last 6 visits, hinting at a possible edge for Cleveland on their home court. In the injury department, the Bucks are without Jay Crowder, while the Cavs have doubts over Karis LeVert and Ty Jerome and are missing key players Darius Garland and Evan Mobley. These absences could really shake up Cleveland's game plan. Trend-wise, the Bucks have been shaky against the spread, only beating it once in their last 8 games, though they've won 13 out of their last 18 outright. The Cavs, on the other hand, are looking strong, covering the spread in 4 of their last 5 and undefeated in their last 5 outings. They've also been dominating at home, winning 5 of their last 6. The odds makers have the Bucks as 4.5-point favorites, but given their recent spread woes and the Cavs' fiery form, especially at home, the wise bet might be on Cleveland to cover. The Cavaliers have been on fire offensively, securing the 7th spot by scoring an impressive 120.1 points for every 100 possessions, with their net rating soaring to plus 18.5. On the flip side, the Bucks' defensive efforts have been lagging, positioned at 24th in the league as they concede 118.8 points per 100 possessions. To wrap it up, while the Bucks may look like the top dogs on paper and have previously outplayed the Cavs, their defensive hiccups and Cleveland's red-hot form, especially on their home hardwood, suggest the Cavs might just cover the 5-point spread. Expect a nail-biter, but with the Cavs' recent mojo and home court advantage, they're likely to keep it tight, if not snatch a surprise win. I'm backing the Cleveland Cavaliers to cover that 5-point spread. The next today's prediction is for the game between Houston Rockets and New York Knicks. Tonight's slam dunk contest between the Houston Rockets and the New York Knicks is shaping up to be a real barn burner. The Rockets, balling with a scorecard of 19 wins to 20 losses, are gearing up to take on the Knicks, who are slightly ahead in the game with 23 wins and 17 losses. Checking the score sheet, the Knicks are shooting with a bit more finesse, netting a field goal percentage of 46.67% over the Rockets' 46.10%. The three-pointer game is also tight, with the Knicks edging out at 37.52% against the Rockets' 35.95%. When it comes to rebounds, it's a hair-splitting affair. The Knicks pull down an average of 45.95 per game, just nudging past the Rockets' 45.0. However, the Rockets are dishing out more assists, averaging 24.82 per game, slightly more than the Knicks' 24.13. The Knicks have been on a hot streak lately, going 6-2 against the spread in their recent 8 and showing the same numbers straight up. Yet, they've been keeping the score low, with the total going under in 7 of their last 8. Playing on their home turf, they've been dominating, boasting a 4-1 record against the spread in their last 5 home clashes with the Rockets. On the flip side, the Rockets are in a bit of a jam with a worrying 0-5 against the spread in their last 5 and a 1-4 straight up in their recent games. This slump isn't new against the Knicks, with a 0-7 straight up in their last 7 showdowns and a 1-7 against the spread on their last 8 road trips. Head-to-head, the Knicks are leading the charge in recent matchups. In the last 10 face-offs, the Rockets have snagged 3 victories, but only outplayed the spread twice. In the Big Apple, they've only scored a win and beat the spread once in their last 5 visits. Injury updates are crucial in this neck-and-neck battle. The Rockets are down Tari Eason and might be missing Reggie Bullock. The Knicks have Jalen Brunson and Josh Hart on the questionable list, with Mitchell Robinson still benched. These gaps could tilt the scales, especially in key play areas. Factoring in the current form, historical face-offs, and injury updates, the Knicks seem to have a clear edge, more so on their home court. The odds makers are tipping the Knicks with a 5-point spread and setting the total points bar at 220.5. Given the Knicks' solid play and the Rockets' recent fumbles, especially against the spread and straight up, the Knicks are the favorites to beat the spread. The game's likely to be tight, with chances pointing towards staying under the 220.5 points total. In short, the New York Knicks, with their sharper shooting, home court upper hand, and recent form, are looking strong to clinch this match, covering the spread and keeping the total points under 220.5. The next today's prediction is for the game between Miami Heat and Toronto Raptors. Rolling into this showdown, the Miami Heat packs a solid record of 24-16, but don't count out the Raptors yet. Sitting at 15-25, they've got a secret weapon, their home court. They've been dropping an impressive 115.49 points per game, eclipsing Miami's 112.28. That's a serious offensive firepower, especially when they play on their own turf. Diving deeper into the stats, the Raptors are nailing it with a field goal percentage of 48.36%, outshining Miami's 46.87%. This scoring finesse, especially in their home arena, could be a game changer. And let's talk about rebounds. Toronto's snagging 43.77 per game, just nudging past Miami's 41.41, which could tip the scales in controlling the tempo and the ball. However, the real deal is Toronto's home court advantage. It's been a game changer in past face-offs. They boast a 12-5 record in their last 17 home games against the Heat, showing they know how to dominate on their home ground. Also, with a recent field goal percentage soaring to 50.7%, the Raptors are not messing around. Meanwhile, Miami's slow burn strategy, ranking 29th in the league, might backfire here. Their defensive, methodical play could stumble against Toronto's high-octane home performance. Injury updates are crucial, too. Miami might miss some key plays from Kevin Love and Jaime Jaquez Jr. The Raptors have Otto Porter Jr. and Gary Trent Jr. on the iffy list, but their squad depth might just cover for these gaps. So, the prediction, it's leaning toward the Toronto Raptors to beat the spread. Their mastery of the home court, coupled with sharp scoring and solid rebounding, looks set to outpace Miami's slower, guard-heavy game. The Raptors' recent streak and historical edge at home against the Heat add weight to this forecast. But when it comes to total points, expect things to stay under 228. Miami's defensive focus, especially in away games, and their leisurely pace suggest a game with fewer chances to rack up points. The Raptors might struggle to keep up their scoring streak against Miami's tight defense, leading to a more restrained scoreboard. In a nutshell, the bet is on the Toronto Raptors to outdo the plus 3-point spread, with total points likely falling short of 228. This prediction takes into account the Raptors' home court prowess, scoring savvy, and past showdowns against Miami, balanced against Miami's defensive strategy and slower rhythm. The next today's prediction is for the game between Charlotte Hornets and New Orleans Pelicans. Tonight's face-off is set to be a sizzling hoop battle as the Charlotte Hornets clash with the New Orleans Pelicans. Diving into this matchup, we're sizing up everything from recent form and head-to-head stats to the unique plays of each squad. Kicking off with the New Orleans Pelicans home court heroes, they're on a hot streak. Sporting a 24-17 win-loss card, they've been killing it on the court. Their scoring game is on fire, dropping an average of 116.40 points a game, and their shooting is top-notch with a 48.64% field goal average. Their three-pointers are dropping at a solid 38.29%, and they're grabbing 44.33 boards a game, showing they can hustle both in offense and defense. The Pelicans are also nailing it in the spread game, going 6-3 against it in their recent 9 and 7-3 straight up in their last 10. On the flip side, the Charlotte Hornets are hitting a rough patch, only netting 8 wins against 29 losses. They're averaging 108.32 points per game, but their field and three-point shooting percentages, 45.60% and 35.53% respectively, don't quite stack up to the Pelicans. Their rebounding and assists at 41.32 and 24.65 per game also aren't up to par. The Hornets are stumbling in the spread, going 0-5 against it in their last 5 games, and their straight-up record mirrors that. With key players like Gordon Hayward benched and others questionable, their squad depth and play might take a hit. Historically, in head-to-heads in New Orleans, the Hornets have outplayed the spread in 3 of the last 4. But given their current form and the contrasting momentum of both teams, this stat might not be a game-changer tonight. Analyzing home versus away dynamics, the Pelicans have been beasts on their turf, as seen in their recent spread trends. The Hornets, however, are struggling on the road, with their offense ranking lowest in efficiency in their recent 5, hinting at trouble breaking through the Pelicans' defense. The injury roster further tips the scales toward the Pelicans. The Hornets, already on the back foot, are hit hard by missing key players, which could mess with their defensive and offensive game plans, making it tough to beat the spread against a well-rounded Pelicans team. Lastly, the betting line and trends lean towards the Pelicans with a 12-point spread. Given the Pelicans' offensive sharpness and the Hornets' weak defense, it looks like the Pelicans will run the show. The Hornets' struggle to hit the numbers, especially against a top-form team like the Pelicans, makes the home team a solid bet to not just win, but also beat the spread. In sum, after a full-court analysis of both teams' play, streaks, and current form, the New Orleans Pelicans are the smart pick. They're poised to slam the minus 12-point spread, leveraging the Hornets' defensive issues and their own scoring prowess. I'm backing the New Orleans Pelicans to triumph and outscore the 12-point spread. The next today's prediction is for the game between Dallas Mavericks and Los Angeles Lakers. Tonight's hoops battle is set to be a slam dunk as the Los Angeles Lakers welcome the Dallas Mavericks to their court. The Mavericks, boasting a solid 24-17 record, are strutting in with an impressive average of 118.68 points a game. They're shooting hoops with a 47.20% accuracy, and from downtown, they're hitting 37.07% of their threes. But they're possibly hitting the hardwood without their ace, Luka Doncic, and his crew, Dante Exum and Derrick Jones Jr., all questionable for the game, which might shake up their play. The Lakers are sitting at a balanced 21-21, showing a mixed bag this season. They're netting an average of 114.29 points per game and are a bit more on target with their shots, boasting a 48.85% field goal success rate. The Lakers squad isn't without its own hiccups, with Cam Reddish a maybe and Gabe Vincent out of the game. Historically, the Mavericks have had the edge over the Lakers, especially when playing in LA, but with Doncic possibly out, the game's rhythm could see a major shift. The Mavericks have an impressive 10-1 record against the spread in their last 11 faceoffs with the Lakers, but this showdown could be a different ballgame without their star. Recently, the Mavericks have been on a roll with a 5-2 record, both against the spread and straight up in their last 7 games, while the Lakers have been fumbling a bit, showing a 2-6 spread record in their last 8 and a 5-11 straight-up record in their last 16. When these teams clash, the total score tends to dip below the line, particularly in LA. Given the current form and past face-offs, Doncic's potential benching could be a game-changer. The Lakers, with the home court in their favor and a slight edge in shooting and rebounding, might just dunk their way to victory. With a chance to turn their game around and the Mavericks possibly missing their key player, the scales tip towards the Lakers. The odds makers have the Lakers as a 3-point front-runner with a total score prediction of 241.5 points. The stage is set for the Lakers to not just win, but also beat the spread, especially if Doncic stays on the sidelines. Wrapping it up, while the Mavericks have been nailing it this season and have a solid record against the spread, Doncic's potential absence could flip the script. Expect the Lakers to use their home court and sharp shooting to clinch the win and cover the 3-point spread, with the total likely staying below 241.5, following the trend of their recent matchups. The next today's prediction is for the game between Golden State Warriors and Utah Jazz. Tonight's showdown is primed to be a sizzling hoop fest as the Golden State Warriors hit the hardwood in Salt Lake City, squaring off against the Utah Jazz. Scouting the team's current stats, the Warriors are battling some serious headwinds with their 18-22 scoreboard, while the Jazz are hustling a bit better at 22-20. It's a tight game in the scoring department. The Warriors are dropping an average of 117.18 points per game, with the Jazz hot on their heels at 116.79. Shooting stats are nearly mirror images. The Warriors snag a slim lead in trays, netting 36.95% from downtown, just nudging past the Jazz's 35.62%. Utah, though, sneaks ahead with a slightly sharper field goal percentage of 46.76%, edging out Golden State's 46.51%. In the rebound rumble, it's almost a dead heat. Jazz slightly outmuscle the Warriors with 46.64 to 46.07 boards per game. Playmaking paints a similar picture. Warriors dishing out 28.15 assists per game, barely ahead of the Jazz's 28-0. These stat twins are setting us up for a nail-biter. Drilling down to recent play, the Warriors have hit a rough patch, especially away from home with a 2-10 record in their latest road games. Their track record in Salt Lake City isn't too bright either, with only 1 win and 2 spread covers in their last 5 trips. On the flip side, the Jazz are surfing a success streak, unbeaten in their last 6 showdowns, both straight up and against the spread, dominating at home with a 9-0 record in recent games. Historically, the Warriors have had the edge, securing wins and spreads in 7 of the last 10 faceoffs, but their current road bumps in form slightly tip the odds towards the Jazz. Injury updates are key. The Warriors are missing heavy hitters like Chris Paul, Gary Payton, and Moses Moody, while the Jazz are all geared up and injury-free. This could be a game-changer for Utah in a clash this close. The odds makers are leaning towards the Jazz with a 4-point spread favor and a high-flying total points line of 243.5. Given the Jazz's solid home game and the Warriors' travel troubles, along with Golden State's injury list, the Jazz might just snag the win. They've got the momentum, home court edge, and a full roster, all pivotal in this kind of matchup. Though, with both teams known for lighting up the scoreboard and considering the trend of high totals, betting on a score over 243.5 points could also be a smart play. Wrapping it up, even with Draymond Green back in action, the Warriors can't seem to catch a break, including a loss to a depleted Grizzlies team. My money's on the Jazz. I'm not betting against them for the Warriors. Golden State's road hiccups and their injury woes weigh heavily, while the Jazz's current form and home dominance look too solid to overlook. I'm placing my bets on the total points soaring over the 243.5 line and on the Jazz to beat the 4-point spread. The last prediction for today is for the matchup between Brooklyn Nets and Portland Trail Blazers. Tonight's clash on the court pits the Brooklyn Nets against the Portland Trail Blazers, promising to be more than a mere hoop dance. Let's dive into the stat sheet and recent plays for a detailed breakdown. The Brooklyn Nets, with a scorecard of 16 wins and 23 losses, aren't just on an away play, they're trying to shake off a rough patch. Their recent record of 2-13-1 against the spread in the last 16 games points to a struggle in meeting expectations. With an average score of 114.58 points per game, their performance is commendable. They're hitting 45.91% on field goals and 36.67% on three-pointers. Their rebounding and assists are also on point, averaging 46.71 and 26.08 per game, respectively. Yet the road games have been tough, as seen in their 0-9 record against the spread in the last 9 away matches. Injuries to key players like Day'Ron Sharpe and Ben Simmons are also shaking up their lineup. On the flip side, the Portland Trail Blazers, with a 10-29 tally, are in a tight spot. Their average of 107.28 points, with a 43.08% success rate in field goals and 35.45% in threes, shows they're putting up a fight. Despite a shaky 5-15 record at home, they're not backing down. Injuries, especially to crucial players like Jerami Grant and Malcolm Brogdon, are a hurdle. Looking at their past 10 head-to-head games, it's a draw, but the Nets have a slight edge in covering the spread in 6 of these. Notably, the Nets have won 3 and covered the spread in 4 out of their last 5 visits to Portland. This historical advantage is significant. The odds favor the Nets with a 6-point lead, but the in-depth look changes the game. The Nets, strong on paper, have had a tough time covering spreads, particularly in away games. Their recent form raises doubts. The Blazers, despite injuries and a less flashy record, have home turf advantage. Remember, they just edged out the Nets in overtime recently. So, what's the smart move tonight? The Blazers have shown they can tough it out, especially under pressure. With the Nets struggling to cover spreads and the Blazers playing at home, it seems wise to bet on Portland covering the 6.5-point spread. In a game of fine lines, the Blazers, with home advantage and something to prove, might just keep it within the spread. My bet is on the Portland Trail Blazers to cover,